From Software revealed that Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon would be the next entry in its mech series, but newer fans of the publisher might be curious about the previous title's plot. Although the story has undergone several revisions, the series has frequently concentrated on the highly customizable mech gameplay. Since the PS1 version of Armored Core's debut in 1997, the series has released more than 15 games through various reboots and spin-offs. Even though From Software's fan base has grown thanks to titles like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, they haven't forgotten about Armored Core. From Software has previously rebooted the series 3 times, and Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon will probably do so once more to introduce a new plot. Every AC game centers primarily on the Raven, a mercenary who drives Armored Core mechs. Megacorporations employ mercenaries, known as Ravens, to carry out tasks like assassinations and sabotaging rival businesses. Armored Core was renowned for offering extensive customization options and engaging in massive robot battles that advanced gaming technology at the time. However, each game's story is not always presented clearly, just like in From Software's other games. The tale of the Raven mercenaries began with the first Armored Core. Armored Core created the dark, perilous setting for the series. Similar to what happened to the Vault Dwellers in the Fallout series, warring corporations and destructive weapon testing forced humanity to retreat into underground cities. Humanity tried to reclaim its lost lands years after leaving the surface of the Earth. While the player is in control of a Raven mercenary who completes missions for whichever corporation is willing to pay the highest price, 2 new world powers, the Chrome and Murakumo Millennium companies, compete for resources. Sadly, Ack's story was told to players through lengthy emails they would receive in between missions. Players in Armored Core, Master of Arena's first and third games battled to defeat a strong AI that had been controlling humanity for decades before its demise forced people to once again fend for themselves. In Armored Core, Project Phantasma, players also destroyed the shadowy Doomsday organization and its top-secret weapon before the series transitioned to a terraformed version of Mars and the PS2. The protagonist of Master of Arena is Armored Core 2's main antagonist. Armored Core 2 took place on a newly terraformed Mars, 67 years after the events of Master of Arena, and it was released alongside the PS2, the best-selling console of all time. Giant corporations are vying for supremacy once more, with Matrix taking control of Mars. The Frighteners, an elite mercenary team sent by the envious government of Earth, try to turn the tides but end up betraying everyone in their quest for advanced alien technology. Its leader, rumored to be the same Raven players control in Master of Arena, merges his mind with stumbled-upon technology but is ultimately vanquished by the unnamed Raven protagonist of a C2. 5 years after the botched uprising on Mars, the sequel, Armored Core 2: Another Age, is set on Earth. Another Age didn't offer much of a narrative, in contrast to From Software's Elden Ring, the 2022 GOTY winner. The remaining corporations continued to wage war on each other and the Earth's government after humanity was freed from the control of a bad AI. These conflicts provided the players Raven and their Armored Core with a variety of missions to complete. Armored Core 3 marked the start of the series' first reboot. The story is set in the future, as in the previous games, and revolves around humanity's desire to reclaim the surface world after nuclear war obliterated Earth. An AI named the Controller actively manages the underground society known as Layered. Again, businesses vying for control of Layered space and resources engaged in conflict, including Mirage and Crust Industries. The neutral Global Cortex organization now registers Ravens who operate the deadly Armored Core robots, and it learns that the Controller is to blame for the armed factions and crumbling infrastructure. After it is defeated, humanity can once again access the surface world. Humanity's mission to retake Earth from AIs was launched by Armored Core 3. With the release of Silent Line, Armored Core, humanity is now free to explore the once devastated surface of Earth. Scouts were ordered to look into the Silent Line, a mysterious area, but they never came back. Raven, the player's character, finds Ibis, another rogue AI that turns out to be just as dangerous as the Controller. Ibis holds a sizable portion of humanity's forces captive underground and decimates a sizable portion of its forces. The protagonist eliminates Ibis, freeing a new segment of humanity, much like the AI that was destroyed earlier in AC3. In Armored Core, Nexus, which takes place 55 years after Silent Line, corporations are once more on the verge of conflict. Pilots from the Armored Core are now mercenaries for Raven's Ark. A more recent company is found to be hoarding antiquated technology. When it is attacked, it summons an uncontrollable weapon that it uses to obliterate its victims and everything else in its vicinity until the player's Raven can finish it off. The player's character is killed at the game's conclusion as a result of a mysterious weapon system that is set off by these events. The story culminates in a full-scale battle between the world's last Ravens in Armored Core: Last Raven, the series' final PS2 game, which also offers multiple endings like Elden Ring. Over the course of the game's campaign, other pilots or a mysterious AI named Internecine eliminate the remaining Ravens. It is revealed that the Internecine is to blame for the player's demise in AC Nexus when the AI commands pulverizer mechs whose designs grow more powerful with each victory. Most epilogues feature challenging final bosses that are either AI-controlled or rival Ravens, with the player's Raven emerging victorious. Armored Core 4's epic conclusion is influenced by corporate warfare and blackmail. Armored Core 4, which revived the series for the PS3 and Xbox 360, marked Hidetaka Miyazaki's feature film debut. At the start of the new series, R&D organizations find Kojima particles at the South Pole, a brand new, highly potent fuel source. The best armored core units the series has ever seen, known as NEXTs, are eventually developed using the KP. A few businesses amass sufficient wealth to overthrow national governments and impoverish the planet's expanding population by making them to labor for pitiful wages. Beginning with repelling rebel assaults, the new pilot in AC-4 eventually kills a notable terrorist leader, gaining the confidence to take on more lucrative corporate missions. In order to create new NEXTs, the powerful corporations started using their cutting-edge technology. They also started hiring pilots, now known as Lynx, to sabotage one another. However, completing particular tasks resulted in the Lynx War, a major corporate conflict. Blackmail causes some of the Raven's closest friends to turn against them, which results in a dramatic showdown with Raven's closest teammate in AC-4's conclusion. In AC, for Answer, which takes place 10 years after the Raven, the story is continued with a branching plot that offers more possible outcomes than Demon's Souls. The use of Kojima particles is causing radiation poisoning in Earth's population. To escape the deteriorating living conditions on the surface, corporations decide to construct enormous floating cities known as cradles. However, for the numerous people trapped on the surface, the KP used to power the enormous cradles hastens environmental degradation. Some corporations build arms forts to fend off NEXTs. Thousands of soldiers who were considered disposable by their designer staff empowered the massive, heavily armed flying mobile fortresses. See Raven destroying various fortresses and the organizations behind them once and for all in the endings of Answer. There is also a conclusion in which the player goes on a rampage and obliterates cradles, killing millions of people inside, as well as every next they come into contact with, until they are the only survivors. Prior to From Software creating the majority of its Soulsborne games and relaunching the series, the most recent AC games were released more than 9 years ago. In a post-apocalyptic Earth that was once said to be habitable for humans, the plot of Armored Core 5 involved rebel forces going up against a mysterious group called the Corporation that was led by a man by the name of the Father. By defeating the Corporation, players give the rebel forces a chance to free humanity from the Father's rule and reclaim Earth's land. Armored Core 6 will occur on the new planet Rubicon 3. Before Armored Core 6, Armored Core Verdict Day was the last game to be released. 100 years after the events of AC-5, 3 factions are fighting over recently discovered towers that contain resources and outdated technology. The verdict war in the game was the result of mercenaries being forced to choose sides, which exploded into conflict. The mysterious mech warriors known as the Reaper Squad and advanced weapon manufacturer the Foundation team up to harm humanity as much as they can, resulting in epic boss battles that can only be provided by From Software. Although the Foundation unleashes unmanned weapons globally before Reaper Squad is defeated, the Raven and his teammates still have more work to do. The specifics of Armored Core 6's story are currently unknown. The game would be released in 2023 on last and current-gen hardware, according to a Bandai Namco press release. On the far-off planet known as Rubicon 3, AC-6 will take place, where a catastrophe that previously engulfed an entire star system in flames was brought on by an unknown substance. A mercenary working for organizations vying for the drug is controlled by players 50 years later. The second game in the series that doesn't take place on Earth is Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Ideally, the new region will have a new timeline so that more players can take advantage of it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and support my channel.